Wow. Hello there, welcome to After Acolyte, my post-show of The Acolyte, here to talk about episode 5 called Night, and whoa, what an episode this was. I've now watched this episode twice already because it was action-packed and I enjoyed it immensely. Spoilers ahead for the episode, obviously, if you have not seen it. Okay, where to start? Let's start with Darth. Smiley is Chimere, to the surprise of no one at this point. And Chimere is now obviously an alias, as he later says that he has no name, and we finally have confirmation that he is not just a pretender, not just a dark side user, but he is in fact a Sith, or at least he believes himself to be one at this point. Now, let's get this out of the way first. Does this break canon? Because Ki-Adi-Mundi said the Sith were extinct for 1,000 years, the show is not finished, and I think they are being very deliberate in including Ki-Adi-Mundi in this show, and of the inclusions of certain lines in this episode.
What are you?
I have no name. But a Jedi like you might call me Sith. You exposed me. So now I have to kill every single last one of you. The Jedi say I can't exist. They see my face. They all die.
They are setting it up for one of two things, I believe. The Jedi who have encountered Chimere are all going to die, and at this point, 95% of them have. Sol is the last remaining one, the sole survivor, if you will. I do not think Sol is long for this world. I said this last week as well, especially after he said in that last episode, oh, I'll explain everything after this. So I think everyone involved will die. Osha and May, maybe, but probably not. Maybe one of them, probably. Not sure yet. But I think that's how it'll be kept a secret. Everyone gets wiped out. May and Osha are left over, and they'll eventually tell the Jedi, hey, it was this guy, Chimere, he's a Sith. And the Jedi will do one of two things. The Jedi will potentially cover it up, and this is why I think Ki-Adi-Mundi's involvement is key here. Because the Jedi have covered stuff up before. They did it in the High Republic era with Master Yoda and Creighton's son covering up the Nameless and keeping that a secret. Yoda and Mace Windu in the prequels kept their diminished ability to use the Force from the Senate. So Yoda, stop covering stuff up. It's established that the Jedi will always cover stuff up, or not always cover stuff up, they have already covered stuff up. Whether they're doing it to be like, oh, we can't be seen as weak at this point. They do mention in earlier episodes about there being political enemies moving against them. Do they have to protect themselves and safeguard them against that? And would the return of the Sith be something that is very detrimental to them at this point in time? I'm not sure. But I think it's very likely that they're going to cover this up. Or will May and Osha tell them, hey, it's a Sith, and they'll just flat out not believe them because they are so convinced that the Sith just aren't around anymore and that it's not possible. Like Chimere says, the Jedi say, I shouldn't even exist at this point, and they'll just dismiss it and sweep it away. Not sure which one, but I feel like it's going to be one of those two things that happens. I would be very interested to see if at the end of this series, Plagueis or Tenebrous shows up and dispatches of Chimere. Kind of like how Plagueis did to Venemus's hopefuls in the Plagueis novel. I think that would be a really cool connection. Probably won't happen because that novel is Legends now, but it's still, I think that would be kind of cool. I really think that this episode and last week's episode probably should have been released together because it does feel like a very natural two-parter, and I think had they been released together, the pacing would have worked a lot better because last week was super slow and kind of all over the place, and this week was just fast, go, go, go. Essentially an episode that was one elongated action scene. And the pacing just flowed so much better because of it, and to be honest, it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved the lightsaber fights here, and I am someone who does not particularly care about the fandom's fascination with lightsaber fights. They're cool, they're flashy, they're very fun to watch, I understand all that, but I think too many people place too much value on lightsaber fights, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there are a lot of people that will rate a project based on the quality of its lightsaber fights, and I don't understand that at all, because I feel like lightsaber fights are 5% of the overall project that you get, and people seem to judge it on that 5%. Anyway, just my opinion. That being said, I really loved these fights. I thought they were amazing. Sol versus Chimere, Jackie versus Chimere, which was my favourite one, I think. I think Daphne Keane absolutely nailed it. She was fantastic. I loved the camera work and the choreography. I liked how the camera wasn't static a lot. It was actually moving around. It wasn't overly edited. Fantastic. I honestly loved it. Now look, I did not expect to lose both Jackie and Yord here. I thought that maybe we would potentially lose Jackie, because I was thinking about the Maul v Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fight where the apprentice loses their master, and I thought that they might do the inverse of that, and they did, where the master loses their apprentice. I did, however, think that maybe Jackie and Yord would bite it in the last episode of the series, because I've thought for a while now that pretty much everyone in this show isn't going to come out on the other side. And so I thought that they might bite it in the last episode. I thought all the red shirts would go, and that they'd be the last 3 surviving Jedi, Sol, Jackie, and Yord. So when Jackie went, I was surprised, but not like super surprised. I was more surprised by how brutal it was. But man, I was definitely surprised at Yord. I did not expect that at all here. That caught me off guard completely, especially with how brutal that one was. Just a neck snap, which, damn. I did film my reaction to it, so you will see that soon. Yeah. But yeah, loved the fights. Loved that we had stakes in a lightsaber fight. Seeing just the Jedi get dispatched by Chimere was awesome and fun as hell. Chimere having Cortosis armor, chef's kiss. That was sick, and I love that. I assume that's what it was anyway. That was absolutely awesome. Overall, there's not a heap to say about this really, because like I said, it was just one long action scene, but this was a fun as hell episode. It really, really was, and like I've said, I've already watched it twice back to back. 3 episodes to go, and we still have a lot to get through, really. We've still got to see the flashback to Brendok from the other point of view. I've been saying that Sol was probably, innocent of whatever occurred that night, because he wasn't with the others when everything went down and he saved Osha. Chimere is really implying that he was more involved in the events of that night. So I would love to see what... I'm dying for that episode, to be honest. I'm loving the mystery and it just slowly being unraveled here. I do wonder, when Chimere was saying, "Don't you recognize me?" is he just implying the part where they met in episode 2, or is he implying a more distant past connection? I wasn't entirely sure on that. But yeah, this was a blast. I can't wait for these last 3 episodes. Really been enjoying this series. I thought last week was a bit of a stumble. This week I thought brought it back really, really strong. Also, I assume Basil can smell that May is pretending to be Osha at this point. Right? That would make sense. But yeah, not much more to say, really. Just looking forward to this continuing. I feel like this was the burst of energy the show needed, because as much as I haven't enjoyed it so far, I did think that the pacing has been its biggest issue, and this just felt like that injection of energy that the show kind of needed. And yeah, it was just really fantastic to watch and a ton of fun. Now, though, we are going to do the thing that no one else really cares about, and we're going to look at my bingo card. So we go to the bingo card, and we get to tick off a couple more here. Jackie Lon versus May, which we did get in this episode. We did finally see that. New force power. Do we count the blast on the ground as a new force power from last episode? I don't know, I didn't think of that. But I'm pretty sure we saw Chimere do force heal as well in this one, so I'm not sure about that. The Keldor was not Plo Koon. Smiley, though, Chimere did kill at least 3 Jedi. That's a bingo on the diagonal. We've got that. Nothing else yet. Oh, a double blade lightsaber. I was thinking staff lightsaber, not a blade that splits into 2, so I don't really get that one. We have not had a Jedi fall. No Chosen One, no Porg, Sith Holocron, Upto, no, just that, but we have got the bingo. So I'm pretty happy about that. No one survived a lightsaber stab. Good job, Disney, you did it. I knew you had it in you. Anyway, that's it from me. thank you so much for watching. If you like this, you like talking about the Acolyte, you like talking about Star Wars, make sure you follow me here. Talking about Star Wars is my favorite thing to do in the world. I do it here and on TikTok. Check out this video I put together of all the Star Wars cosplayers I saw at Supernova Sydney over the last weekend. And yeah, see you next time, next week for the Acolyte. May the Force be with you, always.